Hey everyone, welcome to a new video. This one is going to be on how to set up the emulator DeSmuME, which is a Nintendo DS emulator. The link for the download is provided in the description, so we're going to go ahead over to that page and look on here. So basically you have the options of, using it for whatever operating system you have. I am using Windows 64, so I did that as the, my download and my install. So once you have that downloaded and extracted to a folder where you're going to run that from, let's go ahead and open up that location and open up your emulator. I already have it open up here. Now, if you guys see, if the details good enough, you can see that I have the scan lines enabled on here. So what I'm going to go through is basically the settings on how to, how to use this, how to get the windows, looking the way you want. Because there was a lot of confusion when this emulator first came out on how to get it, set up kind of the way you want it to look. So we're going to go through all the settings on here. Now, what I'm going to do right off the bat is just maximize this. As you can see, the window is in the state that it's in right now. This is with this option here. So this is what's called pad to integer. If you uncheck that, you're going to get the bigger screen. Now the filter that I have chosen does not look as good as as the other window, so I tend to keep it with this one. But you guys are going to be able to do however you want to set it up. I'm just going to show you the differences. So obviously you do need a ROM to get this to work, so I'm going to go ahead and load up the Super Mario Brothers here. Now with this one, you can set it up to hit Alt and Enter, and it'll go full screen for you. I will show you how to remove the tabs on the top. But as you can see, that's how it's going to look with the settings that I have on here. So I'm going to go ahead and let's go back to that full screen. Or actually, I'm going to do it from here because I do have it the tabs turned off. So let's go ahead and stop that emulator. We're going to close that ROM. And then we're going to go to File. Now with these, you can pretty much leave everything alone. What you need to remember is when you save states for your, the game you're playing, to save it, you're going to want to hit the Shift key along with one of the F keys from F1 through F10. And then to load the the save game file, you're going to hit Shift, or actually you're going to hit just the function key. So in other words, if you did a save, Shift F1 to load it, you're just going to hit F1 and so forth. Now, what I recommend when you're saving a game, because I've done it a ton of times where I just overwrote the last game and messed myself up. So the way they have it set up is so easy. Just go ahead, for your safety's sake, when you save a save state, just hit Shift F1, Shift F2, Shift F3. That way you got 3 copies in case you screw something up and overwrite the other one. You'll still have the original one on there. All right, so let's go ahead over to View. Now the LCD's layout, we have this option right here. You have vertical, horizontal, 1 CD. So I'm going to go ahead and launch the ROM again so you guys can see the differences of what these settings do. So go to View. If you do horizontal, it's just going to place one window next to the other one, obviously horizontal, so it's going to look like that. Now, if you want it just the way it was, you'd go back to, the LCD layout, and you're going to have vertical, which is basically, it mimics the way the unit is, the handheld. You have one screen on top of the other. Now, if you want to go ahead and just do one screen, you're going to pick up this location here. If you do that and it picks the bottom screen and that's not what you want, obviously, you're going to go back in here, go over to the layout section, and you're going to switch the windows. So if you're seeing the wrong window when you want one screen, just pick one LCD here. If it's the wrong window, switch them up here, and then you'll see the main screen. So we'll go ahead and maximize that and see how it looks. So as you can see, that's just the one window. So we'll go back, we'll put that back to the double windows. All right, so now we're going to go ahead into the other options here in the same view section where we were at. This is basically going to rotate it. Now, if you have a screen TV that you can, if you have it mounted and you can actually, you have it mounted on a wall mount and you can actually, turn it to face, the top to bottom. So you would actually do this, and that way you'd be able to view it like that. And obviously you'd probably only want to do that if you can turn the TV in that direction and so forth. You got the different rotation angles there. To set that back to 0. And then this here is the window size. Now, most people do not like to play the window size, or with it windowed. So this will only really affect it if you have it windowed. And then it's going to do that. So you're actually going to see your background in the back. If you do want to do that for whatever reason, and that's what you prefer, you can just go in here and switch the sizes right through here. We'll go ahead and put that back. Put that at 1. And let's see, the screen gap, this is going to mimic the actual gap, that's in the handheld itself. So right now I have it set to narrow border. As you can see, it has that little, gap right there. The smaller look like that. And then the other one here. There's other options on there, but I pretty much think that the best one is the narrow. And you can actually change the color of the bar also. Okay, so we'll go ahead and keep on going here. The magnification filter. This is basically going to give you the effects that you see right now. The one that I have picked right now is Scanline. You can play around with this, to your heart's content, to to whatever your preference would be. You do have a lot of options on there, so you can kind of play around with the options and so forth. Now keep in mind, the more effects you do on here, it may or may not run well on your computer. For me, I can't turn it too high because it starts to go slow. So for example, if I were to do like this, you can see it looks way better, but it also does not run. As you can see, it runs a little bit slower. So I'm just happy with that setting that I had it on originally. So we'll go ahead and put that back to what I had, Scanline. Now, if you like this thing to go ahead and fill up your whole screen completely, you can do one or two things. You can uncheck the pad to integrate right there, and then you'll get the screen that looks like that, still mimicking the top to bottom. If you want to go completely full screen, you're going to go back to this window. You're going to uncheck maintain aspect ratio, and that's going to give you complete widescreen. I think that looks horrible, but to each one their preference. If you want to play it like that, you'll still be able to do it like that. Now to get it to play, now this is the spot where you want to uncheck if you want to get rid of these toolbars on top. Because if you have it like that and you try and go full screen, you're still going to have that bar on top. So what you want to do, if you want to avoid that, just make sure that this show toolbar is unchecked. Now on here for the HUD, you can actually have options to show the frames per second. You can display the input, graphical input, all kind of different things that you can display on here if you wanted to. That's all up to you. So you can enable those if you want. So we're going to go back here, config. I always like to put the limit frame rate in 0, so that way it should match the refresh rate of your screen. I have mine's running to 60. So let's head over to emulation settings. Now these were all left default, but you can check and make sure that this is what they are when before you launch it. There's other things in here you can fix, but I have no need for it since it's working fine the way it is, but that's up to you. So 3D settings, I have it running with OpenGL 3.2. There's different options on here. Again, this is other settings you can change if you want. I would try it first as is default and leave these, where they're at. Multi-sample anti-aliasing, you can change here. I have mine set to 8. The GPU scaling factor, this will basically make the game look smoother. So again, with this, you don't want to go too high because it may not run well on your computer. This is as high as I can go without it starting to, slow down for me. The GPU color depth, I have it set to 24. Texture scaling, I have it set to 4. And again, these are all settings that I left alone right there. These I did change multi-sampling. You can go as high as 8, I believe. And you can choose smooth textures. This was all default, these 4 here. So I had these 3 checked, and that one was blank, so I left that alone. Let's go ahead in here and see the other. Now these are sound settings. These you can pretty much leave alone. If it's running fine and it sounds fine, just leave these alone. You do have an option up here to change it, but it does give you like a little note on there that it might not be a good idea to do that unless you're not hitting the 60 frames per second, because it will more than likely cut off some sounds. Next we have the firmware settings. I pretty much left that alone. You can change your nickname up here. You just put your name up there. Oh, it even has your birth month and all that other fancy stuff. I didn't play with that, left that alone. Microphone settings, I guess you can go in here and mess with the microphone. I have no need for that. This stuff on here I did not even mess with, but it's up to you. ROM loading, I left all this stuff here. I left on default. Now hotkey configuration, you can go in there and change those. If you do see a red mark on there, it is letting you know that it's already reserved by Windows. So if you did want to have a shortcut, for example, these two, I would need to reassign keys for it because those are already reserved by Windows. If you see pink, there's a conflict with the game. And you can disable a hotkey by hitting escape. So let's get out of here. And then Wi-Fi settings I'm not going to mess with, as I don't play online. Display method, now here what I do is also have OpenGL here, and I'm going to show you why. Now this may or may not affect you when you do it, but for me I'm going to show you what it does. So let me go ahead and fix this window so it looks like it did before, and I'll show you what happens here. So for me, what happens when I change that is this. If I try to do direct draw hardware and I expand it, I get 2 windows, which I don't want. So that may or may not happen for you. And then if it doesn't and you prefer, the DirectX hardware, you can go ahead and run it that way. But for me, I left it on the, or not DirectX, Direct Draw. I left it on OpenGL. I also picked the VSync, and I also have the filter on there. Now, the only other thing you would need to change to get yourself up and running, if you do have a joystick, you'd hit the control config here. This is super easy to set up. You're basically just pressing the key that you want for the option on the left. So I'm going to go ahead and do this again. So up, obviously you do up, left, down on your directional pad, right, then your keys. And then you can also do these. If you see the blue, just do it again until it does it correctly. There you are. So, up and left, up and right, down and right, down and left. And then you can go ahead and click OK when you're done. And that's basically it. That's the end of the video. That should be all you need to do to get yourself, up and running. There is a lot of more stuff on here. This is more, way more technical. And it may not be needed depending on what you want to do. For example, a deassembler and things of that nature, view the memory. So this is probably just if you aren't interested in debugging and things like that, you might want to look in there. You can jump directly to the website forums. If you have a bug report that you want to submit, you can do that there. And the frequently asked questions section is right there. So that is pretty much it to get the emulator running. So hopefully that'll help you guys out. Go ahead and give it a try if you have not run this in the past. And you guys go ahead and have a good day. Go ahead and leave any comments that you want on the the YouTube page. We'll see you guys soon, and go ahead and hit that subscribe if you haven't already done so. We'll see you on the next video.